The following announcement will contain a lot of fan service, so if you have any problems with that, please write an angry comment to support this video and the channel. Thank you.
Hello my favorite skin suities. Today I feel particularly unhinged by not just making an analog inspired horror intro, but also having Bite by Night gameplay while I talk about my Forsaken art. I really want to continue my analog horror series, but it doesn't really pay off for me all that much. But anyways, welcome to everyone who has decided to click on this video for two reasons. Either you are my loyal fans that already know this content, or you're a few of the ones that stayed from the video that blew up some time ago. So if you're new here, this will be mainly just me be yapping while I have in the background some gameplay, so it doesn't is as boring. This is the first time I ever played Eliod, so the gameplay in the background is bad, but it's a very long gameplay, so I have to edit much and can show more of the art without having to focus on the background. I'm already 1 minute in the intro and I have not even said anything. God damn it. Yeah, I'm kinda producing this as a filler video so I can post that in the cooldown during the longer waiting periods of me making the voice acting videos, because I have a lot of fun and a lot of success with those videos. And how I usually know these videos where I only talk, they mainly get no interactions because they're simply not YouTube friendly. But I saw recently Boombob3D's video how he was like his 7 art interests or something. I don't quite remember the name, but it gave me some real motivation of wanting to record this again. And he also has a guest part later on. But quickly, just before I jump in the first drawing, I'm going to quickly explain, because the Forsaken fandom I know and definitely not love is probably going to see the thumb and already type some hate comments. I'm used to that, but as a general explanation also of the lore, this is not the Forsaken you guys know. This is me taking the core concept of all the stuff in Forsaken and doing my own stuff with it. As in Forsaken, you're going to be seeing it later, but Sixer and Noob are enemies, while in my one they are best pals, because I like this creative decision. I want to change the name to not be Forsaken related, so it can have it in general, because I want to include other Roblox media as well, like random stuff like PDS, or for example geometry, roaches, and everything that is getting scrapped in Forsaken, but I is still going to be in my AU, and like I said, want to put my own twist on those characters. But let's get into the first drawings already, which is already the two characters I drew the most, which is Sixer and Noob. I'm not going to go in chronological order and start with this one. Basically, my inspiration for Sixer's design was with the game that came out, which was supposed to tease Sixer and told the story and stuff like that. There was one scene just before they split up where there was described how Sixer was half transformed, she was taller, had glowing claws. So I kinda took that version and drew that. She can still, if she's in the games, transform into the killer version, which I haven't drawn that much yet, but I feel like I should explain the obvious design choices I did for this character. To properly explain this, I feel like you have to have it in a cute way, because I see it in a cute way, but my voice isn't necessarily really cute, so I brought someone who is actually very cute compared to me to do the lines for me.
So the reason why Sixer and many other of my characters are drawn that way is, you don't have to believe me, but it's true. It's not because of any sexual reasons, I just feel absolute platonic love for the characters. I like this way of designing characters, as this way of drawing proportions is very stylized, so I know it's not realistic at all. However, I enjoy this rounded art style as it makes the characters incredibly cute and lovable to me. All the round curves and soft shapes are so fun to draw. Of course, I know this gives the character I make hourglass figures, which many people are weird about. I don't care, however. I feel I need to clarify that at some point that is the reason why I draw them this way. If you believe me or not, that is up to you.
See, this makes it way more innocent, as if I would have done it. And also it gave me an excuse to make Boombob appear in one of my videos again. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the first 4 minutes of this video already, god damn it. Now to actual lore. In my universe, there is the normal survivor lobby, which acts basically the same, but there's also a killer lobby where the killers all hang out and chill with one another before getting teleported into games every now and then. But even the killers have their own personalities. 1X talks with nobody because he hates everyone. That was a bad example. For example, Slasher and Noli always hang out, and Noli plays tricks on him, which Slasher doesn't like and probably beats him for it. And some skins are even their own separate characters, for example Vanity. Why? Because I like the girl character design and gives me an excuse down the line to draw Vanity. Or Gash Harpoon, for example, as he's one of the most iconic skins in the game. What do you mean he's getting his chase theme removed? Can this game stop removing content for 5 seconds? But there's nothing actually stopping the killers from moving out of their locations. Most of them just don't want to because they have beef with the survivors. But Sixer, it doesn't really have any beef with them because when she's in games, it turns into a giant version and all the survivors' faces basically are just red silhouettes. So she can't recognize who is who and he is blinded by the Spectre's vision. But outside of game, she's in the small version, which I have drawn here, and actually still friends with Noob. Because in her story game, the way she turns into Guest 666 is by using script on her so she's stronger, feels better and so on, but it slowly damages her body. That is what separates the two. But for me, I changed it so that instead of them separating, they try to work through it together, but get abducted into the Spectre's realm. And you can even see on Sixer a little inject mark where she injected the script into her, which is now permanently marked on her body. In the story, if you pick up on the subtext, it's obviously implied that the script is a clear reference for usage. I can't say that word. Damn it. But I guess based on the way I censored it, you should know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I try to show this more in this direction of like a recovering person from this. And Sixer at herself is very shy and embarrassed about what she constantly does, but is mostly tolerated and accepted by the other survivors. Some of them have gripes. For example, the main bad guy, quote unquote, is N7 as he like hates everyone on the survivor side. Same with 1x. Those are like not really antagonists, but like they're the main ones that actually are annoying at the group. So I feel like this creates interesting character dynamics. For example, Jane Doe is like being kind of motherly towards them and also wants to help her out. My guest 1337 is talking with Sixer if she knows who's the next killer, what they can do to strategize around it, or do they have any weaknesses they can explore to survive the games using like a strategy. And they can also kind of relate with one another as they are both guests. In my universe, guests are an artificially created species that got better over time, but like the first 1000 guests all couldn't talk, which includes Sixer. Guests 1337 can just talk how he wants, but Sixer had to use the script and prolong her exposure to it, which damaged her a lot, but she was able to start speaking, which was the main reason in my universe why she started consuming the script. So she's kind of a bit jealous towards him. But it gives also like, it shows a little bit in the text on this drawing here, that while now with this new power given by the Spectre, Sixer can talk normally, she still has glitches in her voice where it suddenly glitches or like becomes really deep or really high pitched like distorted, where it still sometimes hurts to try to talk for them. By the way, also just saying, I keep switching from he, them, and her pronouns because in Forsaken she goes by any gender, so I'm just switching up the pronouns all the time, but just now I'm still talking about 666. But anyways, I'd already talked about N7, which I feel like, even though I don't like him at all one single bit in the gameplay, I feel like his character has potential because he was like a real hacker. It feels iffy writing him. This is also mainly why I don't like make too much content about this Forsaken thing, because like it's always connected to the real thing, and we all know Forsaken can't really separate reality from what is fictional. I mean, probably while the process of making this video, 3 skins have been being reworked, or like stuff from them has been removed, and 2 future killers that were coming in the future were removed, mainly due to drama. So that often just kills the fun that every time I get into the hyperfixation, I get iffy about it. But for N7, he's kind of a douche, but his design is like a lot inspired. If he doesn't have his script on him, he doesn't have this fancy cape I drawn him with, and he's designed by the Protocol Danger. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but like the one, and wears like this military outfit, and I decided, hey, maybe guests could have given it to him in trade that he can help him out in games, which N7 can create with his new GUI objects, a bit unstable, but for example he can create weapons that can use guests in game, kind of like Marvel rival team up ideas, so that if an N7 and a guest is in the same realm, the N7 can use their teleport, and instead of teleporting, giving the guest 1337 a gun to shoot the killer with. Also, because I mentioned it, he doesn't have his original GUI. This is still the one that Cool Kid has and has no idea how to use, because N7, if he had the real GUI, he would be basically close to a god, so like to the levels of the Spectre, Telemon and Dusika. But because Cool Kid has it, he constantly tries to make a new one while also trying to get his son back. Like he wants both things. One is a good thing for him, which would be his son, which the other one is a bad thing. It's like his all destructive days when he had the GUI. And if you can zoom in the background, it actually has a lot of empty slots because the code of it isn't working. And he only has some basic abilities like the clone and teleport, but he can also summon a firebrand just like Cool Kid can. And because I talked about 1x earlier, there's actually multiple versions. I have the real 1x mainly. I have Hacklord as like a a super powerful eldritch entity, or for example 1x Uwu, which is the character from my voice trolling videos if you remember. And because 1x is like a 4th dimensional creature, there can be many 1x's at once while still being the same creature, just from another dimension. While the others that are duplicates, for example there's the John Doe, but there's also Gashapon. But for me the idea was Gashapon is just like a sailor that was on the brink of death trying to hunt a white whale, and was given a special ability by the Spectre to kill said white whale, but it cost him like his life or like his integrity, which then forced him to end up in the realm as a killer. So while they look similar and have the same abilities as John Doe, the character itself is different, and I tried to do that with as many people as I could to like look at what is in game, what the lore for them is, and how can I rewrite this in an interesting and fun way by just taking the basic premises of the characters and changing them then in a way so it feels fresh and new while still keeping it so the original character is recognizable. This is the last drawing I haven't even talked about, but it's Eliod, and my idea was like I often see like a killer version of Eliod, which is a cool idea, but for me personally, making him a survivor but switching his role from support to sentinel would be so amazing. He would gain a giant pizza cutter, which he can block similar to Guest 1337, but if he hits a block he instantly goes and attacks the killer back with his thing, and if he misses he of course gets hit on his hands. That's where the bandages come from. And basically Eliod wanted to help out his team more, but always kept dying and kept being targeted, and he was sick of that, so he went to Guest 1337 and asked for help with him teaching him how to fight back. And this is how this more combat orientated version of him came into being. He still has his pizza, which he can use to self-heal his wounds after missing a block, or still heal his teammates. He's still a funny guy, but his main goal is still to protect his teammate. This time he actually isn't scared and tries to face his enemies. And I have written story like this for every single character, almost every single character. Some just stay absolutely basic. Looking at you, Nosferatu. And while this video was mainly just to show off art, as I haven't done, as I said, much art because I get sick of drama all the time, so I don't have the motivation to draw, but I have the motivation to write. So if you're interested into editing like this video, where I for example introduce all my killer concepts with their abilities and their lore, and all my reworked survivors and so on, comment it down below. I would definitely be willing to make it. My only condition would be, if I put a lot of effort into this, I would like to see some feedback. Let's say again 100 views would be enough for me to say people are actually interested and can continue talking about this without it feeling too bad that I'm not doing content you guys like, as I do have it sometimes that my videos only get like 20 views or something, and then I'm like, okay, I love every single one of you, but I don't like putting in effort for weeks on weeks with my stressful life currently and to like only entertain the smallest bit of my community. I'm happy for everyone that enjoys watching these, but yet I hate it that I feel like I'm letting other people down. As like this part of the video was recorded I think 6 weeks almost, and yeah, I think only 4 weeks after the first recording, and even though this was supposed to be a filler video, it stretches out really long to making because I often don't get the motivation or can't keep it up for that long. And even though it is supposed to be a filler video, this is supposed to be finished a long time ago, it's probably going to release after I finish editing this last words, as it already took me this long. Again, I don't want to yap for too long because I have a habit of talking too much and too confusing. So again, if you are actually interested, show it with a like, share, whatever. I will sit down, write a long script and talk in a structured, formal way about this lore, only if you're interested. But this was everything I had to say. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you're new here, welcome to this kind of content. I hope you like it. And for everyone else, see you the next time. Have a lovely day.